Veve announced last week their new collectibles with Blackpink. Now, are these really a big deal? Are they? Also, did someone mention Pokemon and Veve in the same sentence? Does that mean something is procured with Pokemon? Or is it just more questions? What might that mean? Now, in this week's episode of OMI is my homie, we're going to get into these questions and more. Grateful to have the chance to put this together with such amazing co-hosts as Doctor of Stuff and the real Randy Chavez. Today, Doctor of Stuff is traveling somewhere in Germany, so he is with us in spirit. If you haven't already, make it rain on that like button for OMI is my homie and help me welcome the real Randy Chavez to the show.
Whoop whoop! What up? What up?
Hey.
I am a little mad that Dr. Stuff did not make an appearance on the patient hodler video that he had produced today. I thought that'd be awesome. Did you see the picture that they posted?
No, I didn't.
So it's like them. Dr. Stuff has like I think a Labbit shirt on, which is really cool. But then like peeking out like the side, like this is just like one of the Deadpool collectibles, and it's just peeking out the side like that. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad they did that.
They got photobombed by their Deadpool collectible.
By the Merc with the mouth. You didn't watch the X-Men series, did you? The most recent one that came out this year?
Not yet.
Oh my! It is. No spoilers, but 9.5 out of 10 would recommend. I love that. Is the best piece of Marvel content that I put out in years. It is so good.
Is this the X-Men 97 cartoon?
Yeah, so it's like just a continuation. Like if they would have brought season 7 on in the 90s, this would have been it. So they do have a bunch of cameos from all of the people that were involved in the 90s as well. Like it's just most of the same cast, but then other people that had shows on in the 90s that is all canon to X-Men. They make appearances, and it is so good. Yeah, I'm blown away.
I will have to check that out. I'm gonna have to convince the missus somehow to watch that with me.
It's really good.
If she watched her inner nerd, I mean, my inner nerd's pretty solid.
If she watched the old ones, it's a good. She'll like it. If she hasn't, I think there's a video on YouTube, like 6 seasons of X-Men in like 35 minutes, and then they just give like a big recap, so she could do that. And they're renewed for seasons 2, 3, and 4, like already. Like it was that good. Speaking of seasons, we have just Veve has just announced season 8 of Veve. Are you ready?
Yes, I remember season 1, season 2 when they introduced this idea of seasons, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. So season 8 already. That's crazy. I can't believe how much the time has flown by, which brings up this comment from Omi Oh My, which is such a good name. How good is it going to feel when Omi finally runs? Been DCing since 2021. I'm stubborn as a mule, and I don't sell during downtimes. Here's to the holders and the gains coming. I echo your sentiment. I did that with some friends in Cardano in 2021, friends that I made from the Cardano community, and all of them became millionaires. Now, I think they all put in 30,000 plus during the bear market into Cardano, but it was fun to see what it led to for a bunch of them. Omi, I think there's really good gains ahead. Yegs Y says, Legends at work. Thank you guys for the weekly updates. Captain Kurt, fellas, always love your content. There was a snafu. I totally like StreamYard suggested a starting time, and usually I go in there and change it to the right time. Apparently, I didn't save that. And so like a bunch of people tuned in and they're like, hey, why haven't we started yet? It's because StreamYard gave the wrong time. So we do start at 8 p.m. What is that? Eastern time.
Yeah, love it.
There's here, Vigil.
Hi guys, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
James Brown, Omi is my homie. Love it.
There's in one of the, you mentioned Blackpink. I forget who posted it, but they put the streaming top 100 K-pop artists by country, and is measured in the billions. So you have from 2022 and then 2023. It increased from Japan from 8.6 billion streams to 9.78 billion streams. In the US, went from 6.6 to 9.2. Indonesia, 4.8 to 7.4. Korea, 5 billion to 7.3. India, 4.6, 6.2. Philippines, 3.3 to 4.2. And then for Mexico, 2.8 to 3.5. So a lot of these countries are going by the billions for how much streams that they listen to the top 100 K-pop artists. And they don't have 2024s yet because obviously we're just kind of in the middle of it. But it's growing. It's not something that's kind of peaked and then is slowly petering out, and we're just getting that last puff of the cigarette. It's something that is really just catching on. Anyone over the age of, I think, 50 probably doesn't really know what K-pop is unless they have kids. And then they'll know because their kids know.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Is Blackpink going to be a big deal, or is this just, yawn?
Well, if you take a look at some of the other stuff that if you ignore what's happening right in front of us, and we'll get to that, if you just look at their Blackpink mobile game, which it looks like kind of like a matching game, it doesn't really look anything groundbreaking, but it has 150,000 daily active users on that still. That's as much as Earth 2's Metaverse has and in their monthly users. And they have over 3.1 million lifetime downloads. So if you just get a fraction of what they've done just for that game, which I don't know if you can, I don't think you can make any money on that unless you can maybe sell accounts. You have like a big character and then you sell that account. Some people do that Pokemon Go. But with this, I mean, you can clearly make a lot of money. They have the details that they went over, and we'll go over that in a bit. But as they did that, maybe an hour or two before they released the details, it was Jisoo that has 78 million followers over on Instagram, which Veve is no stranger to having big accounts advertised for them. They had the actual Blackpink account over on X, 10 million followers. And they had the Blackpink account over on Instagram, 57 million followers that had advertised for them. But now it seems like the actual girls are starting to advertise. Jisoo had advertised this a couple hours before her details for her collectible came out. Imagining all of them are going to be the same. And you can't do blind boxes, I think, for Korea, and that's why this isn't a blind box. Have you take a look at the details?
Yeah, I did go through the details. Yeah, keep talking, and I'll pull it up in the meantime.
Yeah, sure. So there are only 25% of the amounts of mints are allocated for MCP points. Normally it's 50. For this, I think they know that, okay, there's a lot of new people coming in. We've had hundreds so far, and there'll likely be 1,000 or two of new signups that are coming specifically for Blackpink. But they kind of just want to make sure that they're able to go and buy these things, and they don't have to worry about half the supply going to OGs that have just been stacking points for years when they're just not able because they're new. So I think that's pretty fair. Something I think that at first I thought kind of sucked, but now it might be kind of fun, is that it's going to be at a decent time for us, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 8 a.m. Pacific, when that happens on the 22nd. But for Korea, that's going to be about midnight. And then I thought, okay, well, I remember when I was a teen and a new video game would come out, it would always be fun to go to GameStop at midnight, wait in line for hours, go and get Wendy's, go and play some mobile games with everyone there. It was just a fun experience. So I think I know it's some people like, oh, it's the middle of the night, some people have to work. But I think they're forgetting that a lot of the people that really like Blackpink are kind of younger people. Maybe they don't have to get work tomorrow. Maybe they don't have school, or maybe they are adults and they're just enjoying their life and they're just, want to stay up, for one night or at least a couple of nights to get this. So those are my thoughts on that. You want to go over some of the numbers there?
Yeah. So right here we've got the common. How do you say that? Jizzo Pink Venom 1.
Jisoo.
Did I say that right?
Jisoo, I think.
Jisoo. So common, there's 2,800 roughly. This is the uncommon, 2,400. Rare, 1,800. And so there's a good amount of these higher rarities, right? So the ultra rare, there's still 1,140. So that means you're going to have decent chances to get an ultra rare because the number of them. But they go up. Yeah, you can't do blind box, I guess, in Korea. So they do go up in price.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Interesting the way they're doing this drop. That's like the old days before they did blind boxes.
Yeah. Just yeah, it's like the Spider-Man drop. Whatever you get, and it's or whatever you go for is what you'll get. I remember though, and I don't know if it'll be like that this time, but it was almost like, okay, let's not go for the secret rare because that'll be impossible. Let's go for like the rare. For this one though, yeah, 20 is that, yeah, it's the ultra rare. Oh no, that's the secret rare. Which is, I don't know how they're going to do that, because if the ultra rare is only like 1100 or 1090, and this craft, if you need the whole set to craft it, then you should only be able to get 1090 as opposed to 2390 or
That would
2300.
be the maximum even possible. Not that
Yeah,
there will even be that.
yeah. So I
So
don't
we'll
know how they would
see.
do
Yeah, good questions.
this one I think is going to be more coveted. This is the ultra rare craft. The ultra rare craft is not as scarce, 850, but I think if 50 is going to be taken from it, it's be 800. But it's because it has pink on it. Like the secret rare, if you scroll down, it's going to be not pink and chrome. It's going to be gold and silver, which I really, really like for the gold and silver, just to kind of match the VV logo. Not that I'll get number 41. But yeah, I feel like they look like they're the same color, but up top they call it pink and chrome, and this one it's gold and silver. I feel like maybe I'm just like a guy and I can't tell the difference between like bone white and normal white and dry white, but yeah, I feel like it looks like the same color. They're just gaslighting us a little bit here, but yeah.
So if you hold the pink Venom card, you can get this one, or you can choose to mint this one.
Yeah, and it's going to be a race.
Interesting.
So the thing with the Venom card is that you'll be able to get the Venom card right away on the 22nd, but to craft the gold and silver, you're going to have to.
And there's
It says
only
the date,
340 of them.
but the date it says is 29 May. So that's going to be like a week later. So it kind of like builds the hype.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. So crafting will close on that day. Oh, are you going to be able to do this right away?
Interesting.
Because I don't think if this happens, it's going to happen really quickly. They're going to want those super scarce ones. But what I'm also waiting for is obviously we're going to get, let's say when Lisa comes out, hopefully Lisa reports that on her Instagram, because she has 100 million followers. The other girls I think have like 50 and 80, and they're pretty close. But for the stage is if you all put them together and then on stage you say, oh, okay, now they dance or they do some type of thing. I think I made that Pokemon reference the other day with Jigglypuff. But
that'd be crazy. Do you think that if you have the stage, they'll be animated?
they should do something. I mean, if they're on stage, maybe like music plays, because they've done that before. Like if you have one of Matt Gondek's, if you have like the weapons rack and then like a secret rare like duck thing, the duck thing, like, I don't know, it does a certain animation. So they've done stuff like that before. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it with something like this, especially since they have it's just such a big license. And
Yeah.
speaking of, sorry, go ahead.
Unless it does something cool, the stage will become worthless. I mean, these collectibles, yeah, they're still going to do really well. But the stage, for it to be value, has to unlock something.
Yeah. Other things that you'll get from this, it's been reported in India Times, All K-Pop. What else has been reported? Rolling Stone, and then one other place today as well. I mean, and Biz Enter. They go in and they report that new registrants and collectors on VV during this period from 22nd to 26th will receive various benefits and gifts, including a signed Blackpink album. So I don't think it's going to be everyone. It's probably just going to be, oh, you were randomly selected. Because if there's like thousands of these, I don't think it would be really fair to the girls. Like, okay, you have to sign 1,000 albums now. Like they already probably do some of that stuff anyway, or like fan clubs. But I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. In other news, or I guess related to that, Bored Ape Yacht Club had a meet at the clubhouse space the other day, and Bored Ape Yacht Club has 1 million followers on X. That had gotten 2,149 viewers listening in, but for Mr. MC1's space, his space that is not an official Veve space, but they just happen to have David come in and stuff. That had 4,566 people tune in, and that happened a few days after. Do you think this is the turn of the tide? Do you think that as the NFT market comes back, that this is proof that people are going to focus more on IP and high-end digital collectibles as opposed to 2D JPEGs and PFPs? Or am I just kind of just cherry picking two pieces of data here?
So I hated statistics at the university, but I benefited so much from those two statistics courses I had to take. I don't think one proves the other or disproves the other. I think Bored Ape will still do well. I think digital collectibles are going to do massive. And Bored Ape, I think, enough trajectory that they'll stick around. But what they're doing with these 3D digital collectibles and incorporating it into the Viviverse or some kind of metaverses, as well as showcases, I think is going to be a really big deal, because more and more interactions are through social media. And when we can showcase collectibles that we own through our social media, I think that's a big deal. We found out that the use case of Bored Ape Yacht Clubs wasn't access to the private Discord. I mean, that was really cool that they did that. But the true use case was using as your profile pic on social media. So as you'll be able to take these 3D collectibles and put them in your showcase, and as it's easier and easier to showcase your stuff on your social media, I think digital collectibles will do really good. And you'll see lots of money come in for the social flexes for the really expensive items.
Preach. I think one of the things that this does for us, there's an episode of Gilmore Girls where Lorelai and Rory, like, their dream is for her to go to Harvard. But her grandparents want her to go to Yale. And then she's thinking, like, oh, because her and her parents wore a lot, they're like, oh, I don't want them to win. I want you to go to Harvard. And then her mom kind of comes in and says, well, if Rory gets into Yale, don't you think that would make Harvard want her more? And it's kind of like an aha moment, like, okay, fair point. When you have something like Blackpink, there was Kaki Gaijin that had posted, said, David just walked into Pokemon headquarters with a Blackpink promo video. And David responded with some hearts. And I had responded, or I'd re-quoted that. It says, I bet David uses this in his next meeting with Pokemon. I mean, if it wasn't clear before that Blackpink announcement, it's certainly clear now. Big Asian brands trust in Veve. They all want to be part of the OMI secondary market soon as well. And that's not the only thing David had mentioned as far as, what's that called? Da Machine had said anything is possible, where responding to Slevin Kalevra saying, Veve fam, did David use secure the Pokemon license? Only giving two options. Of course, it's the boss, or never, Veve is dead. I didn't click on that because I think the answer's somewhere in between. But when he responds, anything is possible, and the options are like Pikachu, Venusaur, and Charizard. And
that was really cool, that graphic. I loved it.
I know, right?
Like, put in like it's in the Veve app. Yeah, it was awesome.
So David responds, if these are what I think they are, with a little yellow heart. David's been teasing this for years. He's had stuff in the background. He's had hats. He's had posts on Instagram, obviously responding to things like this. Pokemon's one of the biggest brands in the world, at least the highest grossing media franchise. What do you think David has to do to secure these licenses?
Well, that's presupposing that he hasn't, right? So they've had this Blackpink one in the works for 2 years. And what they're now able to do is a lot bigger than what they were able to do as far as the interactiveness and stuff. So who's to say they don't? And it's just not time to release it yet. And so the NDAs on these big licenses, they did a good job keeping Blackpink completely secret. So if they have Pokemon, imagine they're doing a good job keeping that completely secret for a rollout when timing is right. So I'm excited to see the kind of interaction and the 3D models, and like all the kinks in a lot of ways been worked out, so that as they bring on these bigger licenses, they're cooler, right? Like the Wolverine, that was awesome. You could click on it and the claws came out and you could put the mask on or take it off. So yeah, we'll see what they do with this. What I'm liking a lot about it is Blackpink is taking it to their audience, and they're pushing it from their side. We haven't seen tons of that with the major labels. And so having Blackpink do that, I think it's really going to grow this collectible a lot, both from the Blackpink fan side, which will grow Veve users, and then Veve users will be like, holy cow, this is crazy. And so I expect this collectible is going to do really, really well. And then other brands are going to see that and they're say, holy cow, look what's possible.
Yeah. I think they can get anyone on the phone that they want to. And I think maybe it's kind of like Deal or No Deal, where if you're a licensor and you maybe have like a deal that you're planning to offer to Veve, or maybe you're Veve and like, okay, you have this offer from a licensor, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and it's going to cost maybe a piece of your company a lot of time. What revenues will you lose out on other licensors for? But that's before Blackpink. That's before the drop that they give you this deal. After the drop, they could either come back with a worse deal, be like, okay, well, if Blackpink didn't do so well, now we're going to give you a worse deal. But if they do really well and they pick those right boxes and they sell a lot of stuff and there's a lot of hype like there has been, then they can say, okay, well, now, like Padme Amidala, now Viceroy, we will discuss a new treaty. And I could picture David just going like that, like, okay, now guys, we will discuss a new deal that benefits Veve. So I think it would depend on how this does going forward, and really when that NFT narrative comes back. This could potentially kick it off. Wendy Crypto had said that as well, and I was like, okay, this is something that could be really interesting. Obviously, we're hoping that it doesn't kick off for X amount of months so we can stack more, but anything's possible. If he does get Pokemon, I'll do I will probably live on YouTube at that point, just talking about it every day, answer all the questions and all the things. So yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, a whole lot of money. Agrees 100% with that. Randy, better do a 24-hour stream if Veve announces Pokemon.
Yeah, I could do that. That's just to start, because that will be part of my 24 hours. I could pass out a significant amount of knowledge on most of Gen 1, whether it's be from the games, the cards, the show, the manga, the other side games and side stuff. But it would take probably a week or two to do all of Gen 1, and then obviously you have Gen 2. It goes all the way to Gen 8. My specialty is really just Gen 1 and Gen 2. But yeah, this could go. They would have content for years. They wouldn't need anything else. Like, they already have enough content with Marvel and Disney forever, but with Pokemon, just forever and a day, infinity times 3.
Mo Collections believes NFT is going to come back after the bull run. I think cycle will repeat as did last cycle, baby. We may see it for those that weren't around 2021. So NFTs hit later in the cycle, around, like, they really, really pop later in the cycle. And then digital collectibles, like a lot of that rolled into Veve stuff, or some of that rolled into Veve stuff, January of 2022. So keep in mind, during the bull market was March of 2021 with a second peak later in October, November of 2021. So Veve collectibles ran late compared to everything else. So OMI ran early. OMI ran in March 2021 and peaked in March of 2021. Everything else ran much later, or the digital collectibles ran later. For example, in March of 2021, the app had been out since, I think, October 2020 or November. And you could still buy Todd McFarlane's on the store, Todd McFarlane Batman's, for like a month. And then eventually those sold out. And later, during January 2022, those Todd McFarlane's were going for 16,000 gems, when you could have bought them in March for 80 gems.
Was that a 200% or 2,000%?
200x.
Okay, yeah.
Now, why would David you bring on Alfred Kahn if it wasn't to secure Pokemon? David got Marvel, him and Dan by themselves, as we know by previous interviews.
He definitely helps. I mean, he doesn't hurt. I mean, also with it, yeah, that doesn't hurt. I mean, I still remember his big not reveal, but his like declaration saying, well, we have 6 out of the top 10 biggest kid brands in the world, and we'll have 7 now because we'll have Veve. That and he didn't say that as like, oh, this is something we'd like to do. He said it as a matter of fact, like it was happening. It was nice to see him at the gold logo party last year. Hopefully we get him there again this year. New York is his home.
Yeah, I hear from Lori. He's really cool. What if Blackpink is the smallest of the new bigger growth announcements? Oh man, I like the way you think. David, you and Alcon have done dozens of times over. They know exactly how to do this. These drops are going to do well, but I'm going to complete one from the group and very excited. She said, "Oh, Blackpink. They don't research. They have no clue about market cap or tokenomics. They only see Blackpink and say, I want one."
It's true.
Yes, that is exactly how it goes.
I would wager to say that most of these people have that they might not care about economics. They might not care about ROI. They're just, oh, Blackpink, I need it.
Yeah, like if you think about it, meme coins have been running and they have no substance to them. And that's part of why they run, is because actually understanding what's going on with crypto is hard. A lot of people don't have a business investment background of investing in businesses. And really, when you're buying tokens, somewhat what you're really doing is you're an early stage venture capital investor investing in businesses, the business behind the token. And in some ways, right, because the token success is somewhat correlated to the business success. So a lot of people don't have any background with that. With meme coins, they can come into crypto and just be like, oh, I like that dog coin. And they buy it because they like it. And the only use case is, I hope the price goes up. Yeah, it's not substantive. It's not very long run. Most meme coins people get wrecked on, but it's fun and easy. When you give them something like Veve and they have major licenses, what happens is, oh my gosh, they have these cool licenses. Oh, this app is so cool. There's a token associated with this, and they don't even ask further questions. They don't know to ask further questions like, what is the token used for or anything? But it's just like, I'm going to buy the token associated with this.
What's up, Sketch Labs? And if I think if he would even have Pokemon, I wouldn't think he'd use it now. Pokemon is so huge. It's like, once you use it, how do you follow up with it? Thought it's more like a coup de grace, like a final blow. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, and I don't want to say like, you think they'd like jump the shark with that? Because like once you go there, like there's kind of nowhere to go but down. Like Pokemon is so big, but also, I mean, that's something that lasts for forever because they have so much content.
Because you can release different, they have so many different ones too, and you can do different versions, kind of like Spider-Man. How many different Spider-Mans and Batmans do we have?
Yeah. And the difference with that, and they could still do more of like the Bat family. Like we don't have like a Ra's al Ghul, like we don't have like that pit that brings you back, like that immortal, I forget what that's called. But for Pokemon, like, yes, there's a Pokemon, but then there's the trainers, there's gym leaders, there's the gym badges, there's all the plethora of Pokeballs, the professors, the items. There's so much that they could do. And then they have shinies, which I don't think they'll be able to do shinies, at least not random. They could probably do them secondary. And then for stuff like, okay, well, what about Pikachu from Super Smash Brothers? Where it's just Pikachu, but is it just in different hats? And it's like, okay, well, you can buy these hats with accessories, via MCP points, via OMI to Bronze ticket and all that. I would love to go on and work for them for free and just be like, guys, here's what you can do. Like, I'll give them all the options. I'll just take a bunch of Adderall and stay up for like 100 hours and just draw everything out. And that would just be one of the ways they could do it. And then there could be other ways. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's go over a couple of other screenshots here that I might be missing.
While you're looking that up, like, remember when we talked about 3 or 4 months ago in David Yu in Asia doing the deal with,
Alibaba.
With what Alibaba?
Yeah.
Yeah. What bigger things do you think is going on between like the China market or the Asian market with David spending some time with them?
I think that in the military, they teach us when you'll be able to get someone's guard to drop if you speak in their native tongue. And David can speak. I mean, at least Chinese. I'm sure he could speak. I'm sure there's some type of communication where they might not need a translator, and just to make that easier for them, that would just be amazing. But when you go and you take a look at all of the other stuff over there, I guess I'll drop a little alpha. Yeah, I'll have to say something now. There, David has access to a lot of people that are powerful in each country, or at least can open up doors for him in each country. And he hasn't yet used that, because he hasn't needed to. I mean, he's very busy, doesn't need that yet. But if he wants something and he wants to go, it could be something. It doesn't have to be Pokemon. I mean, you have Capcom, but you do Sonic, you could do Sega, and all of those licenses. You could have. It doesn't have to be like, okay, you go to Asia and get Pokemon and that's it. Like right now, Ubisoft is doing they just had a game trailer for their new Assassin's Creed game, and every other game that they had one in France, I won in like Egypt. You play as a Frenchman, you play as an Egyptian, and then they went to Japan, like feudal Japan, like the 1800s. Okay, cool. You're gonna play as this awesome Asian samurai. You're gonna, unalive everyone. But you don't. You play as a black guy in Japan who I think has a samurai, but I think historically I don't think he was. I think they kind of dropped the ball there, and I think that if Veve really wanted to, they could go and do things in a non-woke way, and they could do things like, okay, hey, here's what we've done so far. We've clearly taken very good care of our IP, and look at that Ubisoft trailer and all the comments. Everyone's like, oh, don't buy this. This is trash. Like, you might have some photos on Veve, but you never have any of the core people saying like, oh, don't buy this. There's some people that be like, hey, I want to save my gems for something else, but you never have the core people saying, oh, don't buy this. Maybe we can possibly get whatever they want for Alibaba partnership. I would say just use that for Alipay for the onboarding and on-ramping of fiat and crypto from Asia.
Makes sense. Wouldn't it be interesting if they got, like, say, the Lord of the Rings license, but now that they're making these more interactive, you could do things. Imagine if you could have Legolas, right? And you click on him and he shoots a bunch of arrows, so you could line up a bunch of like goblins and stuff, and you can sit there and be like, or the orcs, and make him shoot and kind of change the direction on him, right? And that they interact if an arrow hits them, they kind of fall and be like, and
that'd be great.
Down. That would be amazing.
I would love that.
Because then the kind of videos people could make, right? Do you remember part of the use case is with the collectibles, the videos people can make. And so I remember when Spider-Man dropped and somebody had bought like 20 Spider-Man Secret Rares. And then they were just hitting them and making them backflip in sequence, right? So you couldn't see the person hitting them, but you could tell because they were like, they had them all lined up and they were backflipping one at a time in sequence. It was really cool. And that in itself is a use case for the collectibles. With the animations, like, that makes cool things that people took the time to do and then make a video out of it. And then they're actually showcasing Veve as they then post that on the social media. So the more interactive they make these collectibles, the more free social media they're going to get as people do little cool videos and share it around.
Agreed. I would, I mean, they had competitions already with some things, and they'll be like, oh, show us your coolest video. I don't know if any of them have really gone viral yet. There's been a couple of Veve. So Veve's paid for ads now, it looks like, on Instagram, or not Instagram, on X, for the Blackpink ads. And every one of those gets anywhere between 800,000 and 1 million impressions. How many of those translate to actual new user signups and sales? I don't know, but it's just nice to see those numbers. Like, I just sent you a screenshot for the last 30 days of their YouTube. If you use Social Blade, you take a look at, okay, they've gotten 2,100 subscribers on YouTube in the last 30 days, and they've had 374,000 views. And it's not just on YouTube. They've had an extra 20,000 followers over on Instagram. So this is really pumping up their numbers. They're no longer rookie numbers. Numbers are pumped up. I forget what we were talking about before this. Ooh. Hope I didn't send anything dirty. So yeah, oh yeah, so you have Carmen Costa saying, so something I noticed, Vivi's Instagram has increased by about 20,000 followers in their last week. It's only Instagram, and who knows what those follows actually mean. But if they are actual Blackpink fans, and this is good news, what would a Blackpink performance look like in the Viviverse? What would a person need for a ticket to show MCP? A certain rank? Would people go? In other news, he said another Powerpuff Girls season 1 for less than $100, so that was cool. Yeah, it's slowly starting. Slowly things are get a little more followers, and that's how it starts.
Yeah, like I don't think that this is going to kick off the digital collectibles like craziness. I think this is a step towards that. I think it's kind of like the snowball starting to roll down the mountain that gets it going, but I don't think that snowball is going to get huge for a little while. And not enough people are paying attention to crypto right now, because that's what creates most of the momentum. Is people come into Bitcoin and then they're looking, so people start to go crazy because people chase green candles like crazy, and there's not enough green candles that the interest will go crazy unless these collectibles all of a sudden went absolutely nuts, and then they went to outrageous prices, and that would start the snowball. It just feels too soon still. I think this actually is a really big deal, but really big deals don't cause the whole market to go crazy. And part of what will kick off the digital collectibles narrative is the crypto market itself going crazy and a bunch of money rolling into digital collectibles from that.
Agreed. I'm glad you brought this up. Says Spawn #1 NFT sold. The Spawn of the #1 original art, 1 of 1 NFT sold on Mallow Art. I think they have like 13 or 16,000 followers, so not like a ton. This says this is the first original Spawn comic art ever sold by Todd McFarlane. The fact that it sold for $16,000, almost $17,000, I think is telling one that people like things that are super scarce. We have a bunch of artworks that come on VV every week, and I don't know if they really advertise it. Obviously, this is from Comics and Crypto, but VV, again, they have 1 of 1s go every single week for thousands of dollars. I really wish they would advertise that, because that just kind of tells people, hey, we have not just stuff that sells for $15 or stamps for $6, but we have high-end stuff that really goes for thousands every week. How would you market that? Would you go and would it be mass market posts on Instagram?
Yep. Instagram post that this just sold for this amount. Congratulations to X bidder, and just the awareness, right? Hitting every week, showing what the user, well, I don't know if the users want to say this just sold for this price, and you might, congratulations to the buyer is probably what you'd want to say, because some probably don't want it out there that they have it.
No. So this one from VV Meister saying this version squashes a few bugs and updates, talking about the VV Comics reader. That I've used a couple times. That does have an update. We've had, so by all means, go to your Play Store and update that. We've had a couple of updates on the VV app in the last couple weeks. I don't really know what they are, just because they just say minor fixes and improvements. They don't really go into specifying a couple things on what they patch. But one of the things I did notice, when you go and you list something now, there's a huge pop-up that says, is this for auction or is this for, final sale price? And I don't think I ever got that huge pop-up before. So that's one of the new things I'd noticed.
This is really interesting.
Oh yeah, this is the stuff they got, I think, from Social Blade, the 2,100 new subscribers, and then the 374,000 new views that they got this month. And this month is like what, half over? So that's the last 30 days, I guess. But I would think as they do more videos, especially if they have, I mean, they already have one from Blackpink, but if they have one of like the girls that, let's say they get their own digital twin. Oh my God, that's what I think happens. Like what, you talked about NBA Top Shots last time. They got a bunch of kind of lower tier influencers of like 1,000 subscribers or more, really kind of plug in NBA Top Shots, and it didn't really matter. It wasn't until the players came in and they bought themselves that's when it pumped.
Yeah. Yeah, when they were buying their own moments and they were telling all their friends, and the basketball players were buying the NBA Top Shots moments and showcasing them on their social media, that it went crazy. And they went crazy early. So they ran early in the bull market.
Yeah.
By early March, they had already had the massive gains. We got one more to show here.
Yes, these guys. So this is a Ghoul Pinks. I think they don't have a ton of followers there. But what they show is Sour Candy by Blackpink and Lady Gaga is in the works for Fortnite Festival. So this is something that I think Lady Gaga had in like season 2 of Fortnite or season 3, whatever it is. But now that it seems to be that they are going and being featured in Fortnite, there's been a lot of things that have happened simultaneously between Veve and Fortnite that they've kind of had the same things within like a month of each other. If it goes on Veve, if it goes on Fortnite, or Fortnite and Veve. Do you think, and again, this is me really reaching here, really connecting dots that may or may not be there, but do you think this is so that because Fortnite has, with Epic, they have that deal with Cavernous, and Cavernous is building the Veveverse, that this is them in the background saying like, okay, let's have some of the same things so that this way our metaverses can continue to be interoperable. You can get our stuff that's high end, and we can get your stuff. We can make it high end. Or is that just like, hey, it's coincidence? If they get one, they're just going to get the other, and it has no connection.
I don't know. When you have the same developer building the Veve versus a lot of these other things, it would seem that they're going to be connected, right? That they're going to be interoperable in some way. So why wouldn't they connect in some way? How that comes together is hard to imagine. There's not a pattern to easily look at and say, oh, yeah, this has happened before. So some of it's just guesswork and trying to guess where things would go.
And hopefully one day we don't have to guess anymore. One day we just see what it is. But you've had all of these amazing developments the past couple weeks. I mean, really like the past year. And OMI's kind of stayed where it is like the past year. And even before then, it was kind of trending down. What's the catalyst to finally make OMI go up? Does it not matter? Do they just have to wait for the narrative? Is it something that are the fudders right?
Yes, the fudders are right. OMI's not going to take off for at least several more days. Who knows when? So the hard thing to predict, right? This is where fudders win in their argument, is that it's hard to predict when things are going to go well. And so a lot of it, they win until they ultimately get trounced and they go away. And so I saw this with Cardano. I saw this with a bunch of other things that I bought. And, I buy when it's boring. So that's when the FUD is like the highest and it's at a peak and people say, it's never going to do well. And you're like, yes, it will. And then it doesn't for like 3 months. And then 4 months. And then 5 months. They're like, see. And every day they're like, see, you suck. And you said it would be higher by now. And it's hard when you're trying to pick timelines because it's not a question of like, the bigger question is if it's going to happen. When is impossible to predict. Generally, crypto gives us this huge gift in that it has this massive blow off top bull run that happens every 4 years, a little bit less than 4 years. So like, it's pretty sure that it's probably going to happen in the next 18 months. If it happens at all, I don't see why it won't massively happen. Things are lining up and people are like, when is it going to happen? It's like, I can't tell you. Is it going to happen? Well, really high likelihood. The probabilities are astoundingly high. The kind of probabilities you don't ever see in investing, which is why I love crypto. Because look, we have digital collectibles have some superior qualities to physical collectibles. And of course they're going to catch on. They're just new. When is it going to catch on? I don't know. And when it catches on, then people will be like, oh, what's the token associated with it? Massive money goes into it. And then as we get green candles, guess what happens? Bigger green candles. If you have any doubts, look what's happened to the meme coins, right? Like they get some green candles. So then they get even bigger green candles. There's not even any substance to those meme coins. And so it goes even greater when there's something substantive associated with the project. like the Veve app, like top intellectual property and these digital collectibles that fans can go crazy for.
Agreed. I
So
would.
yeah, the fudders are totally right, and OMI's never gonna do well until all of a sudden it does.
Yeah.
Like we can look at the price real quick. Like
Oh
some
yeah.
people are like,
Let's do the
"Oh my
TA.
gosh, OMI's the worst ever. It does nothing but go down," and they're absolutely right until all of a sudden they aren't. And so as of now, they're totally right. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it's down now. I'm an investor. I don't know about you. I make money through investing by buying low. Seems to me that price is really, really low. So the question is, will it come back up again? Well, why will it not? We've been in this long bear market for a while. On top of that, a lot of the OMI vested to the team and everything. So team got their tokens and everything, were able to sell if they were going to sell. And so the combination of some of that vesting as well as the bear market absolutely savaged OMI's price, which makes the pendulum swing too far to the cheap side. Well, that's cool because I like buying cheap. So I've been buying cheap. So really the only question is it going to swing back to the upside? Well, why is it not going to swing to the upside? And people say, oh, because it's been so long, it won't. That's a terrible argument. In every 4 years, the crypto companies that survive, their token has gone well to extremely well. And with the success of the Veve app, I don't see why this token doesn't do extremely well from here. So I look at these prices and I'm like, okay, buy more, buy more. Oh my gosh, it touched down at the bottom again. Some people are like, that's absolutely terrible. I see this and I'm like, oh my gosh, Christmas came like 3 times this year. That's so incredible. So I did pick up 17 million more OMI. I'm trying to pick up some more, but in order to pick up some more, I have to sell some other things. And one of them is right close to some sale price target. So if it hits, then I'll have some more liquidity to pick up even more. Cool.
Yeah.
Do I have enough OMI? Well, I'm still short of $1 billion, so I do not have enough.
Never enough OMI. There's
Right?
a big, well, I mean, there's been a reason I haven't been home for 2 months, and that will finally culminate, I'm hoping, in the next couple weeks. And I'll, if everything goes according to plan, I won't just get up to 200 million. I'll get to like 230 to like 270 in there. So I mean, it'd be great if I got like 250, but it would be, you know, I'll settle for 230. That'll be fine. I'll be okay with that. I'll survive. So that's kind of my goal. And then after that, after that, I might go back to New York for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then head down to some strange new lands and do some work in those lands, just me and Dashi, and then maybe as I get some more money, put more into OMI. I don't know. I feel like at that point, 250 would be enough, and I could go into other things at that point. So those are my OMI goals. Are your OMI goals? Is it $1 billion? What has to happen for you to get there?
Well, so I don't believe in selling the projects I have when they're down to buy something else that's down. So a lot of it has to do with 2 factors have to happen. That OMI continue to stay down at this price that's so hard for me to pass up, as well as some of these other ones hit some other, they're not take profit targets, but they're good enough that they're up that I'll roll the multiples. So say if I bought something and it goes up 10x, and I have something like OMI that I can roll into that might do anywhere from 30 to 200x. Well, then I'm going to take that, roll it into OMI, because if it's gone up 10x already and that money then goes into OMI, and say OMI just does a 30x from there, overall that's a 300x. If it does 100x from there, overall that money did 1,000x. And so I rolled in some money from EOS, which did 100 or 80x from the bottom. But I had been dollar cost averaging on it. So I didn't get all of it at the bottom. Not even close. But I was up on it. I was probably up 8 to 10x on it. So I rolled some of that into some OMI. And I still have an EOS position because I hope EOS, which has put itself in the AI narrative, I hope EOS runs some more. And I'm able to harvest even more to roll in more OMI at these prices. So I have some other positions too. I have some other substantive positions in the millions of dollars that there are prices I just not going to sell it. One, I could liquidate one of my positions that's pretty big, and I could buy 2 billion OMI easily at this and still have some of the other token. I just won't do that though.
Well, that brings into question trading. So you said you don't want to sell something that's low for something else that's low, especially if you were to lock in that loss and you were to lose money. But what if it's something that you think, okay, I like this project, that's why I'm in it, and I believe it can get me, a 20x, but it's down about 30%, however much it's down. But you see something that comes along that if you go and you sell what you have in order for something else, that maybe doesn't do a 20 or 30x, maybe that does 100x. Would you break your rule for that? Because, okay, well, even though I'm locking in these losses here, it's for a greater return. Do you think that really gets too much into trading and you decide not to be cute?
I do that all the time, but it's a factor of a few things. So almost all my positions, I'm hoping can do at least a 40x to 100x from here. So there's not much that, like, I've been selling Cardano because what can Cardano do from here? Like maybe 20x, maybe 30x. And so I have almost no Cardano left, even though I love the project. It's just I've been rolling into things. So I've got some gains on Cardano because Cardano, whatever reason, hit like 21 cents, which was absurdly low, and it was up at 50 something cents. So that itself is a 2x gain. Rolling it into something that can do well, like OMI from here, like this price is so amazing. And so, I'll take that trade all the time. It just depends on, like, I also like to have some balance. So I'm not just balancing what is the potential return on investment. I'm also balancing what is the risk that they survive. So one of the projects I really, really like is Bumper. And Bumper, if it catches on, has far more price gains potential than OMI does. But it's a higher risk that that's going to happen than what I feel OMI is. So I have a whole lot of Bumper, but I have a ton of OMI. And so what I've spent on my OMI position is about twice of what I put into Bumper, even though Bumper has higher upside gains. And what I'm buying is, when I get more money, I'm actually buying a lot more OMI than I am Bumper, because I'm pretty happy with my Bumper position. Though at these prices, it's like, yeah, maybe I will get more Bumper. It's been trading around 3 cents, which is just so juicy. The pre-sale of Bumper was supposed to be 60 cents. They end up giving you like a discount. I think it was like 27 cents or 30 cents. So the pre-sale price was like almost 10x what the current price is. And their app is out. It's actually working really well. Like, they're doing the things they said they're going to do. The team is super sharp. I think there's some things cooking that it can get the trajectory it needs, and it just hasn't happened yet. And some people are like, oh, when is this going to happen? Like, it's always takes longer than you hope it's going to happen. It also feels like it's never going to happen right before it does. Yeah. Like the bull market of March of 2021. Do you know that like people were giving up on crypto in December of 2020? And they're like, it's done. Oh, and the US elections are so tumultuous and everything. I'm out. And like literally they were like 3 months away. You even had people in January like leaving crypto, and you're like, March, like things went gangbusters from January to March. That was the window that you made like serious money. It happened all over 2 months. And yet people sold then because they just entered despair and they were just done. And it didn't feel like in January that it was about to happen. Like it did a little bit. Like your spidey senses were probably tingling. Like, I think this could happen, but is it really going to happen? And then it just went like crazy. And just like, I was at my day job and I started to develop a serious eye problem because I one day I was like, there was a pre-sale I could have got into, but I had to go to a meeting. It would have made me $40,000 getting in that pre-sale. And I would have been able to, had I been able to be at my computer. And the next day they're like, oh, what are you thinking about? You look like disengaged. And my mind was thinking about the $40,000 I just missed out on because I was there, but I didn't want to tell them that. I was just like, oh, I'm caught up on, some stuff, just, some things going on, and like, the next week they're like, oh, what's going on with you? What's your mind about? I was like, oh, I was thinking about my NBA Top Shots thing. I put about $1,100 in and it's worth like $80,000 now. They're like, what? What is that? And I was like, oh, nothing. So you start to have this eye problem of, I can't see myself making these meetings anymore. I can't see myself coming into work for you anymore. I really recommend people don't quit their day job, even if you make $1 million or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Why? It's really nice to have that in the following bear market, so you're not having to sell assets to pay your bills till your assets get to like 20 or 30 or 40 or 100 million, because then it doesn't matter so much. If you're living somewhat okay, like not spending 3 million a year, yeah, you've set yourself up pretty well to be out of the rat race permanently.
Yeah. Have there's I was catching up with a couple of comments here, and they were talking, okay, what could be bigger than Pokemon? People were like, nothing. But then I said they could follow up with a couple of things, like just all of Nintendo, which, I mean, I feel like a lot of the movie theaters, okay, they have Hey You Pikachu, they have Sonic, they have a bunch of different things that are setting up like a Nintendo verse. I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. Back in the day, they were supposed to have a Netflix show on for Legend of Zelda, but somebody like leaked it, and then Nintendo pulled out. They're like, nope, not doing that anymore. So they're really strict on that type of thing, so that if that type of thing does happen, no one will know until it comes out.
Yeah, you know what would be fun to see is, it would be fun to see Illuvium approach them, right? And Illuvium, they already have the 3D models of all their things, and be like, hey, can we come do a sale on your, on your app of these things? Because this is the greatest thing for licensors ever, because they get residuals. So if you sell like action figures, you get to sell them once. You don't get any money as they trade between people. But now, as they continue to trade, they get more money. So they might make a lot more money every year after the initial sale than they did on the initial sale, if their collectible does well. So I think Blackpink gets this, right? Okay, we'll make some money on the initial sale, but you're telling me we get residuals on the sales of those for forever? And if the prices go really, really high, we get residuals on that for forever? Wow, that's crazy.
What is their fee? Let me see. I'm not sure if it says on there. Waitlist drop, priority bidding. It does not say. Oh yeah, no, they have the 6% secondary market fee, same as Disney, same as Marvel. So they do have that. Yeah, that's huge. Especially.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, so especially for like some of the secret rare stuff that people would be trading back and forth for like thousands. Actually, in January, March, or we bet. For me, I was just getting more OMI.
In January, March 2021, I was much more actively trading back then. I was scared that it wouldn't come together right, and I was trying to get the most. Like, I was waking up for launches on a lot of these launch pads. I really didn't discover the launch pads till like February or something. And then I was getting up at like crazy hours in order to participate in the launches, and sometimes get a $200 allocation of something. And so I was pretty actively trading, but my bags were packed. I had been loading up during the bear market, but I was just trying to squeeze the best out of it I could. Since then, like, yeah, one bull market that you're well prepared for puts you in a different category second time. So I'm not near so active in trading. I trade very passively. I look for good strategic moves, and then I make those moves. But I wouldn't even say I even make trades weekly necessarily, especially now. Like, my bags are so packed, and I do rearrange the bags a little bit as something goes higher. And I'm like EOS has absolutely taken off early. Cool. That is an amazing one to take profits on. And it's gone up like 80x from the bottom. So it's pulled back a little bit, but it's up maybe 75, 70x from the bottom. And people are like, what are you taking profits on here? EOS is going to go a lot higher than here. It's almost to $1 billion market cap. And it may, but man, if it does another 10x from here, that's just like an 800x. Whereas if I take that money and I roll it into something else that then does a 50x from here, oh geez, like that's say a 70x rolled into a 50x. Those numbers are just astounding. And so that's why, like, oh, why are you selling your AOS? Yeah, I believe in the project, but it's a lot more expensive now. So the potential upside from here is diminished. The risk that it pulls back and doesn't continue to go up gets higher and higher and higher and higher. Also, the potential for further gains from here gets lower, 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 lower. So it's harvest, 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 pull it into other things where the potential hasn't even kicked off yet. And that's what I've been doing with that. Now, I wish I had more things that were totally running like that. Yeah.
I think the thing is with the problem with trying to get a 75x into a 50x, something like that, is that in order for a project to go like that 50 to 75x, they usually have a really low market cap and they usually have really low volume. So you're just, I mean, even if you put, something small like 10,000 into a big 75x, okay, cool, we got $750,000, but how do you go in and move that into something that has 30,000 in volume a day? It's just really, you can't do it. Or you could do it over weeks, I guess, but that's really hard to do.
The rat race is the best part, bro. Like, I don't know. I want it out of the rat race. I'm a little bit out of it, but not fully. It's like when you get to 20, 30, 40 million. Charles Hoskinson of Cardano says 40 million is the number, the magic number, that you're completely out of it. What is the exit strategy and where do profits go looking ahead to the next bear? Yeah, that's a great question. Like, I'll be talking about it on my channel. This is what I do. I'm not talking a lot about exit now because it's not exit time now. It will be. Right now, still accumulate some really good deals. And if something really shoots off like AOS I covered during the bear market, like, cool, it's blown up and gone crazy. So it's a good one to move over into some things, even though it probably has some upside from here. Cool. There's some other ones that I'm pretty big up on that are like close to some prices I want to sell and roll into things that are still cheap. They're just not quite there. And if that happens, that'll help me towards my billion OMI goal. So we'll see if I end up hitting that. Only if OMI stays cheap long enough, it's totally going to happen. If it doesn't, I'm not going to cry anyway. It'll just be fun, right? So there's some other reasons related to something Doctor of Stuff and I did. It would be really fun to have a billion OMI tokens.
There's
if that comes together.
Yeah, let's hope. For my exit strategy, I already have it set up. For those of you that do not know, I was in high risk lending years ago, where you would give money to people that have 500 and 600 credit. Most of those people, most of the applications that you would get, 99% of it is you just throw out. They're just not worth it because a lot of people just don't pay their bills and they're just looking for a handout. They're shining the knobs on the Titanic. But when you do a lot of due diligence and you take a look at that, okay, you can see which people are going to pay back. It takes a little bit of experience, unless you're just happen to be gifted and super lucky. But eventually you'll be able to see that. And like the company that I helped set up, that's still running. Like obviously I'm not there with it, but that company's still running. They do those high risk lending loans, and I could give them, probably $2 million. Well, we'll make the math easy. Let's do it $1 million. They would have no issue giving me 20%, returns on that, for a year or two, until I decided to take that out. And the reason why is because they could use that capital to fund all of the deals that they wanted to. And he's like, well, Chavez, I thought you said you had up to like 24.99%. That's at the max. You're right. I was like, okay, well, there's not a lot of wiggle room. Are they really making anything out of there? Sounds like you're taking advantage. Be advised, a lot of those that go for, the term for a year, we'll give them prepayment discounts. So they're maybe only paying like 15 or 18%, but because they get discounts and they pay off early, they do it in like 3 to 6 months. So the actual percentage is actually much over that. So they're getting a nice amount. That will be, but I mean, $1 million, figure 20% of that per year. I'm pretty sure I could live off 200K. And then at the next, but if I do that for 2 million, 400K a year, I could just keep that in there and then just consistently roll that over, or just use that to buy more crypto. But I would expect between everything, between the OMI, the other stuff, I would say 8 to 10 million. I would like to net afterwards. And if I don't, let's say it's only 2 million. Yeah, I'll put all of that in that high risk lending deal, and then again, I could live off that. That's fine. But I do expect to make quite a bit more. I'll let you all know the details of that, like 2 years from now.
Yeah. So, what do you think in the chat? Should Illuvium reach out to Veve? Because really, that's the way it'd go. Like Vivi's talking to really, really big licenses, and Illuvium's big in the crypto world. Most of the world does not know about, like, if you were to say Blackpink, well, a third of the world knows about Blackpink. About 1/300th of the world knows about Illuvium. But these are really cool things. So if it's going to happen, it needs to be Illuvium reaching out to Veve. But look how freaking cool these are. Like these are some of their, what are they? Tier 4 and tier 5 alluvials, and they are ridiculously amazing. These are some that I've actually captured in the private beta.
Is it the higher the tier, the better, or the lower the tier, the better?
Higher the tier, the better. So this is a tier 5. It's got 5 bars across the top. This is a RAM fee. And so if you upgrade this 2 more steps, like you combine 3 of them, it makes the Ram Fire, which is like a freaking amazing fire dragon. But these are some of the ones that I've collected. This is a stage 2 of the little alligator dude. Freaking so cool.
Who's the M Jolly guy? Majolly? The polar bear.
Yeah, I'll pull him in just a sec. Look how they have it. They have mint numbers. They have the capture number, right? Capture number 399 of this.
That's cool.
That's going to be really cool. And so these are actually minted on Immutable X, but on the testnet right now. So these are actual NFTs. They just won't be sellable. It's all on the testnet. Yeah, this one in the higher level of these bears looks really, really cool. I don't think I've caught any of the higher levels of these bears.
I love him. You ever see Bob's Burgers?
The restaurant chain?
Yeah, it's a cartoon, yeah.
Okay.
So there's I forget her name, the one with the hat. She's like, I changed my mind about having kids. I'm going to have one and feed it to this bear. Because they have like a bear.
They have really cool things, and SoCal makes a point. Illuvium has higher market cap than Akomi, though not if you include the Veve collectibles, right? So yes, on just the tokens alone. And you know what, Illuvium has its own collectibles too, so maybe they're somewhat comparable. But as far as intellectual property, like Veve has Disney, Marvel, like top brands in the world, and they have people beating down their door. So I feel like Illuvium would benefit more by the Veve deal than Veve would benefit by an Illuvium deal. That's why it would have to be Illuvium going to Veve.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed Kieran a couple times. Like I could always reach out to him. I haven't interviewed him in a while. The Warwick brothers, I think, are phenomenal business people. This one's really cool. This is a stage 2 of the elephant. The stage 3 looks amazing. I don't have it. I don't have any of this stage 3s, I think, of the tier 4 or 5s. Yeah, so they've done a good job. I do think Illuvium's going to do well. I am going to be picking up more of their ILV token as well. It's high on my probabilities list. So this is the stage 1 of the alligator. You saw the stage 2 looked like a fat chunky.
Yeah, it was a chunky
boy. Was standing up. Yeah, it was really, really cool. This is the stage 1 of this guy, and stage 2 is this, and stage 3 is a Scoriox, which got the same name as my friend's YouTube channel.
What's it called?
Scoriox. Oh. And he does a great job covering Illuvium. I love his stuff. He's really analytical, really smart, and does great coverage of Illuvium. So if you haven't subscribed to him and you're interested in great Illuvium content, yeah, he's got a great channel. This is one of my favorites. I use this guy. He raises a tentacle calling lightning to strike the 2 lowest health enemies. Each strike deals 350 times your OP energy damage. And if either one kills an enemy, he then casts an additional time. I really like this guy. I use him on my stage 3 runs as one of the ones. So he's pretty cool. I was really happy when I captured him. He had decent stats because when you get him, it's totally random. Like there's, I think, 5 different stats, and you can get essentially between a 1 to a 6 on them. And it has to do with how upgraded they are. So say your health would normally be 1500. If you get a stat on like 1 of survivability, it might be 1520 or 1550 is like the base health on him. But if you get a stat of 6, then, you know, his overall health might be like 1680. So it does impact the stats, these random things. So some of the ones you get have really high stats, and they will just be better to use in the game. Now, when you take them into the arena versus other players for tournaments, they equalize them so that the stats don't matter, except for some tournaments where they actually will matter. And so I really like that they added that factor. You can't see it. I'll actually pull up the game and I'll show you how you can see the breakdown. It was a really cool thing that they did. So give me a second, I'll pull that up.
Yeah, of course. They have something similar in Pokemon called EVs and IVs.
Yeah.
And, oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, well, someone told me a little bit about it, but I know so little about it.
Yeah. So it's like basically not all Pokemon are created equal. They have 6 different stats there. They got the attack, the health, the defense, special origin. It was just one special attack, special defense in Gen 1. Then they changed it in Gen 2 to have special attack and defense. They have speed, and it all affects it. And you could catch, 3 different Pokemon. They'll all be completely different, of the same type. So what a lot of people do is they go in and now they have natures and now they have abilities, and it gets really crazy. But that's what I love about it, is that they might look the same, but they're all different. And they might have personality. So I think Illuvium, that they could do pretty well with that. Are there like matches? Or I shouldn't say that. There are matches. Is there like a long gameplay, or is it just people battling each other? Or is there like an overarching story?
So it is, here we go. There are matches. So you capture these alluvials, and then you can actually take them into the battle arena where you can play against other players. You can play against the computer in incoming waves, wave after wave after wave. And so you can take your deck in there. So these are actual alluvials that I caught. So this is a tier 5. You can tell by the bars at the top, but notice the stats. So you have overall power, critical power. So this one had a 5 in overall power, a 5 in critical power. He sucks in his attack power. His defense power is like he's a 2 in attack power and defense power, and a 1 in omega power. The omega power ends up being a big deal because a lot of times when you hit your hyper, which sometimes is between 1 to 5 seconds of them being in the game, they have like their special ability then goes. And so that OP or omega power gets that multiple times by whatever the number. So it's a big deal to have your omega power higher. For certain alluvials, you really need their attack power and hopefully their critical power high. Overall power, I don't know how relevant that is, but then defense power for like your tanks is a big deal. So we'll just pull up, see how many, like a lot of them, you're just catching them and you're looking for ones with good stats. Like some of them have terrible stats. This one has a great overall power and a great attack power, but it has a 1 out of 1 in defense power, a 1 out of 1 in omega power, and a 1 out of 1 in critical power. And so
is the average like 10 for each one? Like they'll average about all of their stuff together will be combined to 10, because the 2 you've shown have been, I guess.
No, it doesn't do that at all. Like you could end up getting 6s in all of them if you got lucky. And that one, like right now on the marketplace, you can't tell what the stats look like. So they do need to update the marketplace, because you really need to be able to see the stats. Because look at this.
Yeah,
I have a 6 in overall power, a 5 in omega power, a 3 in defense power, a 5 in attack power, and a 5 in critical power. The stats on this are incredible.
Yeah. So there's no speed here, so it doesn't really matter. Like it's just when the battle sets, you go and then they go and they go and you go. And it doesn't, like, how do they determine who goes first?
It's an auto battler, so they go at the same time. So you place them. If you're against another person, you kind of place one at a time, and they can see where your last placement went.
Is there an option for that? Like, does it have to be auto battler, or can you battle?
No, it has to be auto battler for now.
Oh, okay.
For now. So like this is the team that I actually use. So I use some of the ones that have better stats. Like this one came in really good with a 6 out of 6 attack power. His Omega power is also really strong. This is a stage 3 of a tier 1 alluvial. This is the stage 2 of him. So this is the upgraded version. And then this other one, he's weak on his defense power, but he's a 6 out of 6 on his Omega power. So when he does his Omega ability, his hyper ability, he just wrecks them.
So he's a glass cannon. Like he'll get got if he gets hit, but he's just a beast. And
and this is just where the range starts. So his maximum health is 1805. This guy's maximum health is 2238. So probably the health pool starts at 1700, probably goes up to like 2400 if you get a 6 out of 6. So he's not a complete glass cannon, but it does affect it, right? So you're able to see maximum health is only 1805. This guy has much higher maximum health of 2200. So these stats do make a big difference. So these guys, this one's more of a tank, so he's got a maximum health of 2354, and he's a 5 out of 6 on health. This one's also a 5 out of 6. He's also a 5 out of 6, but their health numbers are not the same. That's interesting. You know, so this number that shows up here might somewhat be different than it might be kind of a rounding thing, but look how the maximum health is different between these two, even though that defense power is the same. Interesting.
Cool. So when they battle, they get experience, and do some grow differently than others? Like, oh, this person grew, gain a level, and then he got 2, or got more towards hit points, got more health as opposed to more defense.
So as you gain levels right now, it doesn't impact stats that I'm aware of at all, but it does impact your ability to merge 3 of them together to get the next stage. So if you take 3 stage 1s, you can get and merge them together after they have enough experience, you can get a stage 2. You merge 3 stage 2s and you can get a stage 3. And stage 3 is the highest version of that one. So kind of like Pokemon. I think Pokemon had some similar mechanisms, didn't it? How did you go from to upgrade your Pokemon to the higher levels?
So you don't really combine them. Like in the anime, there's like, they study like combinations where a Shelder will bite the tail of a Slowpoke, and then it'll evolve into a Slowbro, and the Shelder becomes part of it. But that's, you can't really do that in the games. In the games, it's the more you battle, the more experience you get. When you get enough experience, you get a level, and the new level you'll get like micro advantages. You'll get +1 in attack, +2 in defense, and how you find out what EVs and IVs you have is, oh, okay, this Pokemon is growing in health more than anything else, so it's got to have those particular IVs. But you can go in what's called EV train, and let's say like Caterpie gives like one health EV. So if you fight a bunch of Caterpie, then you go in and your health will raise at a commensurate rate.
Smart.
So in the first like episode where Pikachu beats like 100 or a couple hundred Sparrow with like Thunder, it gets up all of those speed EVs, and that's why Pikachu's like so fast. You can evolve it a bunch of different ways. In the first generation, it was just either by leveling up. Some evolved by stone, where if you have a certain water Pokemon, evolve with water stones, certain fire Pokemon with a fire stone. But then some evolve by trade, where you could only get them to evolve if you traded with someone, and then they evolve, and then you have to trade them back. But that was really cool. And then now they have things where they can evolve from happiness. They can evolve from if you level up at a certain time of day, whether it's morning, dusk, night. They have a whole bunch of different things. Like you can, even if you level up in one area, if you have to level up in a certain area, it gets pretty crazy.
Uh, what's funny or fun is how well that cartoon did. Now, by the time that came out, I was in the military and other things. And so sometimes when I came home to see my family, my younger brothers and stuff would be watching it, and the Pokemon trading cards came out. And I was like, what a cool franchise. Like, shoot, why did that come out when I was younger? And, not only did, the cartoon, like I was just older by then. I didn't really get into it. I especially didn't get into the cards, but man, some of those card values are just crazy because it became one of the biggest franchises in the world. And even to this day, the amount of love for that franchise is gigantic.
There was, I think the last game that came out for the Switch sold like 30, 50 million copies or whatever. And that's going like $50 a game. I got really lucky that I was born at a time where, okay, I got adopted, immigrated to America, born at a time where I was just at that age where it just took over, and my brain probably went to, I would say most of the freer information in my brain that's not like instincts of like breathing and digesting. I think a lot of it is in Pokemon. Like I would have probably spent, I don't know, 30,000 hours on Pokemon related things, whether it was the show, the video game, the actual business of buying and selling cards, talking about it on here. I think you have to be 10,000 hours to be a master in something. I spent 3 times that on Pokemon, so master cubed or master squared. It's yeah, I got very lucky.
It's pretty cool to have some economic value associated with all that time spent, right? So
Yeah.
your parents might have said, and I don't know if your parents were supportive or not, might have said, "Oh my gosh, you're wasting so much time on that. You're wasting your time." And it's like, see, mom, I wasn't. Like
I don't. Go
my
ahead.
mom did not support me playing video games when I was younger, though, if my grades were good, I could play video games. And so, I was like, someday I want to be a professional video game player. Well, kind of. That's what it is. I'm more a professional video game investor. But I can only play so much video games now anyway. Like I never suspected that as a kid. I thought it would be unlimited. I found out it's not unlimited.
Yeah, your eyes hurt after a while. You get a headache. You need to like walk around, stretch your back. My parents were not supportive in anything that I did, which I think helped me now, being as like, okay, well, nobody's, all the fudders aren't supporting me. Nobody's, so that helps later in life. With a variety of different things. Definitely did not expect go in with lower expectations for a lot of things, and you can do nothing but be pleasantly surprised. And I think that's fun. But I wanted to, professional video games came out a little too late. I was a little too old. If they would have had internet and professional video games for like old school Mario Kart or Super Smash Brothers, I would have been a professional video gamer, and I would have dominated because that's what I did. But that didn't really come out until several years later. I was already kind of out of practice, and I was chasing girls at that point, so there was no video games take a backseat when you're into that. But
that was a time, though. What's cool about Mario Kart is it was a great dating opportunity because girls would come over and play that, right? But like that was a video game you could get girls to play. Paul Lizzie, didn't notice Paul Lizzie was in the house. Good to see you, Paul. And Abe, what is OMI? Came here for diesel and gas chat.
What's up, Abe?
Abe's a longtime friend.
There's still a lot of records being set. Like, so the same way there's communities like for Veve, there's communities for old school video games. And now there's not really a lot of competition, like live competitions for old school video games, but there are competitions for what's called speed running. And speed running is something where you could have any percent where you could beat it in any way that you like. You could have glitches, like, okay, I'll beat this as quickly as possible with glitches. Or I think like Super Mario, like the one where we have Cappy, there's something called nipple percent, because Mario at one point takes off his shirt. He's in like swim trunks, and like you see his nipples. So they call it nipple percent. But I think some of the more interesting ones are in Mario Kart, because they find all these wicked shortcuts, and you could beat, I think Not Rainbow Road. Well, Rainbow Road you can beat in like a minute with some turtle shells. You go off the side, you go to a certain polygon, it thinks that you're on there. But most interestingly, I think recently somebody finally beat the original Tetris game. And what you had to do with that, so yes, originally with Tetris, for all the other autists like me that played it, you got to a point in the game, I think it was level 29, where the speed gets so crazy that you can see what's going on. Like you can, oh, I know I want this piece to go here or this piece to go there, but the buttons don't register in time in order for you to do that. So for years, like you got up to level 29 and people would like try to max out their score because it only went 6 digits, 999,999. And anything after that, you'd just have to manually calculate. But then there was some person that in Japan, when Tetris released, it didn't release on like the Super Nintendo. It released on something else. So they had this thing called hyper tapping, where they would hyper tap, and then you could actually play a little bit to get past level 29. And then they had this trick where your thumb would be on the D-pad, but you would have to hit the back of it so that this way you could actually hit it. I would say move it like 30 times per second. If you go like this, you could hit it 30 times per second, because if your thumb's on the D-pad, that's what you could do. But when they did that, they discovered that you can move, and the people that can play it, you can play up to like level like 135 or something. So this is going from, originally people thought you could only get to level 29, but you can get to 135. But then the color palettes change, and when the color palettes change, you can't really see what's going on. So you have to like adjust your TV settings, and you have to memorize just what the colors are. And then the game eventually crashes at like 155 or level 176. It takes like a couple hours to get there. But somebody finally beat it. They got to the point where the game itself just crashes. And that's, you get like 16 million points or like 20 million points. It's, yeah.
That's when you beat the AI and the early AI of Tetris. When you crash it.
Yeah. So the original developers didn't think that it was humanly possible to go past like level 30, much less get into level 170.
That is so great. I can't even fathom that. Thanu T says, yo, Crypto Rain bought some bumper. Thanks. I think it'll do well. Love and respect from the OG Vault family. I don't know that OG Vault likes me that much. That's cool. Everybody say hi to Daisy. Hi, Daisy.
Hi, Daisy.
This is related to, I think, the Illuvium stuff that we had up. Some great artistry. They really nailed it. They created some lovability in their stage 1 characters. Like the stage 2 are a little bit more fierce, and the stage 3s are very fierce. Like their designers did an amazing job. It would be fun if Illuvium reached out to Veve and made that happen. Really, that's kind of up to Illuvium to do. SoCal brings up a good point. Illuvium is creating a kart racing game that you'll be able to do, and so the stats of the Illuvial themselves will be integrated into how the car performs, which will be interesting. A lot of what I'm going to do when that actually launches, I'm going to play it like crazy. I'm going to catch a bunch of the early stuff, and I'm just going to sit on them, because it shows the mint numbers, right? So essentially, you can play and get some of those early mint numbers, and I'm not even going to merge most of them. And so some of the early mint numbers with great stats are probably going to do well if the game does really well. Probably the collectible value on those will go crazy, because eventually they're going to move on, that you won't be able to capture those ones anymore. And they'll go to, what is it, like series 2 or whatever, like second generation or whatever. And they'll have different alluvials, and they'll use the art form and change like the fire dragon into like an ice dragon, but you won't be able to get those exact same ones anymore. Ace Rig Move bought a bag of OMI yesterday at an amazing price. Great job, brother. Great job.
He's a cool dude. He does stuff Veve related for his employees as well. So shout out to him.
Nice. Like a lot of this stuff you're going to see, it just, when it feels boring like this, we are in the early stage of the bull market. There's plenty of runway ahead of us. Sometimes it still feels like, for people that are new, it feels like it's not going to happen. Oh, it's coming, and it's coming really big, and people just thank me for saying that. But like, I've just seen this pattern before, and not just in crypto. Like, I was pretty sure it was going to happen this time last bear market or rolling into the bull market. But now I've actually gone through it once and I'm even more sure, but I was pretty sure last time. There's a little part of me that's like, no, is it too good to be true? What if it doesn't play out that way? And then you watch like your gains just go crazy. So a lot of time people are frustrated too because they see like other things are pumping and something else went up 5x and it's like, dang it. We're not here for 5x's. 5x's is like kindergarten games compared to what has happened or what is going to happen on some of this stuff. At least I'm not here for 5x's. So it is frustrating to watch something else that you're not in get a 5x and your position hasn't gone up or gone down. But it's just the patience to wait out till your positions do play out. And they will happen if you've been taking good positions on fundamentally strong businesses. The money is going to cascade first into Bitcoin, and then it's going to roll into a bunch of the altcoins. And you'll see some of those positions go up way more than 5x.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a good day today. How long does this little mini rally last where Bitcoin's up 7%? I don't know. It could go for another couple days. We could go another 8% tomorrow and get up to 70K, or we could erase some of the gains we had today. I think going up 7% in one day is kind of a lot for something like Bitcoin. But we'll see. We had a couple. Most of the market is up today. Shout out to Flow, was up 6.4% on the day. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I wish Flow would go down even more. Like to acquire more cheap. So Flow, do terrible, please. OMI, do even more terrible, please.
Yeah.
Bumper, go down even some more. Illuvium, please. I mean, $80. Come on. You really should be at $2 so that I can buy more.
Be terrible for the next 3 weeks. And then that's it. I know you want it for several months, but I would like it for a couple weeks, and then I'm ready to be rich again.
Ready to feel rich, because what's funny is like you weren't selling anyway, so you feel differently. You're like, oh, my portfolio value. I did stop tracking my exact portfolio value. I did that last bull market. I do it way less that way. I just don't have the emotional impact of like a 20% drop day of like, oh my gosh, I'm so much poorer. My portfolio, especially this cycle, it's like when I drop 20%, it's like, holy cow. I'm not going to tell my wife what happened today, right? Oh, baby, our portfolio went down by $1 million today. No, you just keep that to yourself.
I mean, this time I won't just have like 110, 120, 130 million. Like I'll have a little bit more than that. Hopefully by the time when it happens, I'll have well over 200, maybe that 230, 250, maybe even above mark. I'll keep everyone posted, but I'll be much more comfortable selling at 1 cent. With over 200 million, as opposed to selling when I just had, 110, 120.
SoCal OMI brings up an interesting point. So they did do some collectible cards with Illuvium as a way to introduce some things as well as raise some more money in the bear market. And they did these Illuvium Beyond sales, and it kind of had a certain amount of different things. So it was easier to get tier 1 than it was tier 2. And then there's like the tier 5s, like the tier 5 stage 3 Ramfire. He says they're going for 15K is what they're trading for. Your chance of getting that were probably like 0.1% or less. So really small chance, but like it's cool. And they're more collectible cards. So they're along the lines of just like digital versions of collectible cards. Kind of like what HRO has done with like the Batman and stuff.
How much does it cost to catch alluvials?
So it's not clear right now. It's on the testnet, and you can get 0.5 ETH from a different site per day to bring in there, and you can get 0.1 ETH from Illuvium itself into the testnet. And so then you have to buy the fuel. So you need Krypton to be able to travel into a stage 1, a stage 2, or stage 3 level. So you can go the same level, either a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. Stage 3, you're going to have better alluvials, harder alluvials. The resources that you're going to mine are going to have better resources in there, or the harvestable materials are going to be better. And so like they cost more Krypton to go into the higher stages. So I guess I could pull that back up and show you. So it's not clear what Krypton is going to cost, and it's going to be market determined. So you produce Krypton using the land game, and they have this interesting mechanism. I didn't understand this when I first bought the land. I wish it had been more clear. But when you say you have land and you get a bunch of Krypton, you have like 100 Krypton, you're going to sell it into the marketplace. Well, they actually multiply it times 19. So the 100 you put in there actually becomes a total of 2,000, because then they distribute the money to the rest of the ILV token holders. And they said, oh, landholders will only get 5% of the revenue. So this is the way that they keep to the 5% of the revenues thing. Oh, well. I don't love that mechanism. So essentially they multiply the amount of fuel. So not all the fuel is really provided by the land. It's just 5%. And then they multiply it so that really most of the gain goes to the ILV token holders. But then because they made that 5% promise, they're trying to find ways that the landholders make 5% of their revenues on other things that they're not related to kind of balance that out. So we'll see how that does, and we'll see what prices are at. At first, I think the fuel was probably get bid up as people are trying to get in there and playing a whole bunch. I have a whole bunch of their land, so I'll probably be able to harvest my own fuel. And the only thing it will cost me is opportunity cost of I could just be sitting there and selling the fuel rather than playing myself.
Yeah. I feel like once they come out with certain things, they figure out those mechanics, and then people can be like, okay, how much money in order to buy all of these or capture all these alluvials, and then also what the in Pokemon they have it broken down where, let's say in Pokemon Yellow, you have a 1% chance of catching a Pidgeotto in Viridian Forest. Like, how many encounters do I need to get one of those? What are the odds of catching one, and how much will it cost? So when you have some of these alluvials that are, oh, it's like 0.1% chance that you get that. Well, it's for $15,000. Like if I have to catch 1,000 of them and they cost $1.50 and it only cost me 1,500 to get these, then it's still well worth it to try. And then you have all the other ones that you have to go to catch. But obviously that's a lot of math. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of trial and error. So, but whenever that happens, people will go and they'll take advantage.
Yeah, I think their token. Excuse me, my wife brought me my dinner.
I could keep going. You go. Hang
go ahead, and I'm gonna finish eating this. She brought me some grilled cheese.
Okay. Oh, nice. So basically, what happens in Pokemon Red and Blue when you start by going into the grass, and Professor Oak says, "Wait," and then he's like, "Pokemon live in the tall grass." So you go back, and if it's red and blue, you get the choice of either Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. Bulbasaur being the grass, Squirtle being the water, Charmander being the fire. And then, of course, your rival, Gary, or you can name him whatever you want. I always call him some curse word. But either way, you go in whatever you pick. Like, obviously, grass is going to be good against water. Water will be good against fire. If you pick Bulbasaur, the grass-type Pokemon, he'll pick Charmander because he's an a-hole like that. But when you go and you do that, in Route 1, on the way to Viridian City, you pass by Rattata and Pidgey. Rattata is a normal-type Pokemon, normal-type moves. Pidgey, even though is a flying, is also only knows normal type moves at first. Once you get the parcel and bring it back to Oak, you can go left and face Gary again, but he's going to have some stronger Pokemon at like level 8 and level 9. But to your left, you're going to have, you can get a Nidoran, male or female, and then a Sparrow. So Sparrow can be another flying Pokemon. To the north, you're going to have Viridian Forest, which is where you can get a Pidgeotto super early. You get them, I think, at like level 7 or level 9. But again, you get them super early. Normally, you'd have to take a Pidgey, battle him for eons, and then once he gets up to level 18, then he'll evolve into Pidgeotto, and then at 36 evolve into Pidgeot. But you're still in early stages here. Like, you still don't have even one badge. You get that at Pewter City, and after you get through Viridian Forest. Yeah.
The concept of Illuvium Overworld has to be a pack opening experience, but much more immersive. Yeah, in the battles, it is a lot like Pokemon in that you're going into this and you don't quite know what you're going to encounter. And so, like, you have to stun like you see one of the up to 12 alluvials that will be in the encounter kind of wandering around, and you have to go and shoot them enough with like your stun gun that you then freeze the encounter. You can then enter it. And then if you win the encounter, you have your chance to capture as many of the 12 alluvials as you have energy for. And so usually you get a chance to capture 1 to 3 of them. And then depending on what shard you use, which is like a Pokeball, if you use a rare or essentially an ultra rare, I forget the names of them, they give you a better chance to capture them. They do have a master shard that you can spend a lot of fuel to make. You first have to break down some shards into dust, and then, with like 80 dust plus a bunch of the Hyperion fuel, you can make a master shard, which is 100% capture chance. And so that way you can have some of those sitting to the side to give yourself, like, can you imagine you get in and you win the encounter and you have 3 different shards, and what you're trying to capture, say you have a 70% chance to capture it, but none of the 3 times are you able to capture it, and you're just like, no. So it'll be fun to watch like the streams and how many people in gaming get into this. This is where blockchain gaming is going. And when you put real economics behind this, the amount of money that can come into these games is huge. I think this will benefit Veve as well. Like, there's going to be this move to like this wake up to this digital world, like video games going on the blockchain, this idea of ownership, and these digital collectibles, and the idea of ownership and the worldwide marketplace, so that you can sell things on a worldwide market like that. I think it's really going to catch on. That this coming bull market, most people aren't really aware that that's coming. As the awareness gets really high, the prices go crazy, and then it's sell time. Like, some people ask me, are you going to be covering OMI and Veve like next bull run? It's like, only if they get cheap. Like, I'll still be in the community, and but like, specifically on my channel, I'm covering stuff that's inexpensive. OMI will get really expensive at a certain point, and I'll talk about it some, but I won't be saying, oh my gosh, I love these prices. These are so great. Buy now. It's up 200x from where it was. Time to buy. No, it will not be time to buy. It'll be time to take profits.
In the next bull run, or I guess this bull run that we have now, I'll still be covering it as far as it goes to, you're going to have new record prices for a bunch of the newer stuff we have. I mean, it is a major company, and part of the reason why I think I'm in the privileged position I am today is because I covered it so much, starting when just Rain and a couple other people were covering it, to the bull market where everyone was, to the bear market where next to nobody was covering it. And then, the company sees that, and that's why David comes on my channel, and that's why I have a relationship with a lot of people, and that's why I'm able to go and talk to not anyone I want to, but pretty much a lot of people that I want to. A lot of them are just interesting conversations, but a lot of them are, hey, I really like your token. I have a community. Do you want to come on? And I'll ask questions about it. And they said, yeah, sure. And not everybody I interview, I get into their project. Like, there's been a bunch of projects and metaverses that have come on, and I never talk about them again. But there are some that I really, really like. I like Affinity, and I like Bumper, and I obviously will still always love Veve and OMI. So the YouTube channel will continue to give me those options to basically vet people live, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, if the net worth does go above, yeah, we're still gonna have to. I'm still gonna have to work the next couple of years. I really don't want to, but it would be kind of silly of me to be like, okay, that's it, made $10 million. Let me never see y'all again. I'll still probably keep on doing this stuff for the next couple of years, and then by the time I'm like closer to 40, I'll go and do the animal sanctuary stuff when I have a little bit more towards the 9 figures as opposed to 8. That'll give a good chance of success.
I know. Well, what's fun, so working during the bear market is great, because then you're not having to sell assets to pay for things, and you are getting fresh money to put in, which is why, like, but after a couple runs, it becomes like negligible. It's like, well, other than working within the crypto space and adding value there, like, what are you going to do? Like, have a day job making $100,000 a year? Well, when your portfolio is worth like, 50 million, then it's like, why would I go that day job? I'd miss too many opportunities. It is good having the YouTube channel because we do get to help vet people, right? So a lot of what I think the YouTube gives us reach to be able to talk to founders of companies. A lot of YouTube channels don't do these interviews, and the interviews help you see who is the team behind it, because the team behind it is critical. Imagine if Veve didn't have David Yu. I mean, where it wouldn't be what it is.
No, I mean, now I think, obviously, not good, but I think now, if David were to walk away or Dan were to walk away, the company would still survive. Would they reach their full potential of what they could be? Probably not. But would they still be making these drops? Would they still be doing all this stuff? Would they still get new licenses? Yeah, most likely. But yeah, David is that key to reaching that full potential. He'll take us to the promised land. But
so
also,
question on Definity. Here's the logo on the bottom left. It's DEFINITY. They do have a token. I know Randy likes them. I introduced Randy to them, and Randy's had multiple conversations with the team. I love them. They're actually a partner with the channel. And I'm a big fan of what Definity is doing. If you want to see what Definity is doing, catch one of my previous interviews with Manu, as he kind of explains it, how they're helping onboard hedge funds and banks and other things into being able to have crypto exposure in a way that they're familiar with, mostly in Europe, Africa, and Asia. They have the ability to do it in the U.S. The regulatory environment in the U.S. is just so unclear right now.
Yeah, bad times. That's right. One of the things that I might do is if there are certain games that are fun, like if Veveverse has a fun game, be damn sure I'll be streaming that. Or I could go and tell a couple of my gamer friends, like, hey, you guys stream on Twitch, you guys stream on wherever. Come on the channel like for an interview and talk about your favorite strategies, talk about all this. But yeah, I like gaming too. If they ever did like some type of Pokemon game, you'd be damn sure that I'd be streaming that. Not that I would expect that. Maybe they get Pokemon and maybe they and we could do fun stuff with that in the Veveverse. But you don't really need people. Like, you can make your own games. Like, you could race the Pokemon, see if there's any differences in speed. Like they figured out in the first Mario Kart, Yoshi and Toad are the fastest. How they figured out is just a lot of trial and error. But
yeah, that there are stat differences, surely. So I saw some more Blackpink questions. There's this one. Jonathan Drake says, never mind. I guess the gifts are signed albums. Either way, it makes sense that the Venom cards are part of the gifts for new users.
I don't think those qualify as the gifts, because the cards are something that you have to craft and buy. I think the gifts are going to be, well, maybe they are. I don't know, because they didn't need to do that. But you burn the card when you get the new newer collectibles, the ultra rare and the secret rare of the chrome and yellow, and then, or the chrome and pink, and then the gold and silver. So I really want those cards, because to have the signature on it. I mean, I'll borrow from another company like Disney. Disney people signatures are really, really big. So I'd imagine that the first digital signature would probably be big too on the blockchain. And then just having some other signed albums on top of that is really cool. So I think they're giving us a little bit of utility here. I think they're giving us a lot that they really don't need to, but they are anyway because they're cool.
Yeah. So Cal only says VVV can't have games like that. Can't have games like that yet.
What are they talking about? Games like what?
Like being able to play games within the Veveverse with the different characters or the different collectibles.
I mean, people could make that themselves. Like Veve doesn't need to go and do that for them. People, I mean, they probably will. What are the IP branded worlds going to be? I mean, yeah, that you can explore maybe, and that'd be cool. But I would like to think that IP branded world, like Ron English's Delusionville, it's the only one we know of so far, that probably have some type of gamification in it. What is it? I don't know. But I mean, you'll get something for having that secret rare Monopoly Man guy. I forget what he's called.
Yeah, it's pretty early stages, right? And what all is going to be in the Veveverse, I can't say I know. If it's at least an upgraded version of the Vault, then that's what I'd like to see. And I would love to see it interact easily with social media so you could flex your stuff well. So I'd love to see everything on top of that. If it's good, great. Cool. Let's see. Black Vigil says, I have 30 ILV. Those are rookie numbers. I got to pump that. Hey, that is a fantastic start. That's $3,000 worth. I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh my gosh, I have 3, you know. Some people that seems like unattainable. So we all have our different levels that we get to. Hopefully next bull market or next bear market, what you can buy because you did well with this bull market is much higher than that. I wouldn't mind seeing the content change to animal conservation stuff. I did promise my audience through 2025 I'd be doing crypto coverage. Beyond that, I don't know. I'll probably continue to some extent, but I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. I have massive ADD and ADHD, so like I might get bored and I might just like, I don't know, go sell grease for, 3 months.
I will. One day I'll just be in a video. Chavez, where are you? And I'll be in a strange new land. You'll see me somewhere, and maybe still doing videos. Maybe not. Maybe I will be like Thanos and just collect fruit and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Thanos's premise is so flawed about, yes, there will be enough resources if only we destroy half the population. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't help. Destroying half the population doesn't solve anything, especially if you do it completely random, because you might have destroyed your genius that was going to improve technology to the point that you could sustain 10 times the amount of population. Oh, you just wiped them out, Thanos. Good job there, brother.
So this could take us to a really fun place or a place that gets us canceled. So let's start with military backgrounds, because that's what we have. Air Force is better. In the military, you cannot join if you have less than an 82 IQ. Because if you have less than an 82 IQ, it's been determined that you cannot be taught to do anything where your presence isn't completely counterproductive. And the military should want to take anyone, especially because they want to take as many people to get into qualified officer positions as possible. But they just, especially in wartime, but again, they have that rule for a reason. What do we do with those people?
We let them have their lives, right? Just because, again, being in the military, military needs to have thresholds of competency and IQ. But we don't have to do anything with those people other than they're actually, as the world gets rich, and it's fairly rich, especially in the first world countries, they're able to live even somewhat productive lives. When I was younger and I worked at McDonald's, we had some people that were intellectually handicapped that had jobs there, and they'd go around and clean, and they were super cool, friendly people. And they were even able to be productive. And obviously their parents were helped taking care of them. So what's crazy is wealth allows that, because some of the earlier civilization would be like, sorry, you go off the cliff,
300.
So yes, exactly. So it's wealth allows that. Some people are like, oh, we're just nicer. Well, wealth allows you options. So wealth has come from being able to have machines do most of the labor for us, essentially, because one person driving a combine can harvest more fruit or more vegetables or more other things, more corn, more grain than what 500 workers used to be able to harvest. And so, there's more people involved in that you had to have people buy or build that combine and everything. But one person driving it and some fuel can do that harvest. And it's amazing what can happen because of machines. So it's just allowed us to have more food capable than was ever possible before. So could sustain more people doing other things, including some people who are just greeters at Walmart or just cleaning up at McDonald's, even though their IQ isn't very high or they have some other intellectual handicap. So it allows us to be a more generous society. Whereas before they're just yeah, you're going to hold the tribe back, so sorry. And they would just leave them out and let them starve to death. And of course the mom would be crying because she's bonded to that baby, since it was in her womb. And of course they'd probably shame her for feeling bonded to that baby, but that's natural. Moms go through that, and it's good that they do. But yeah, those earlier societies didn't have that luxury because they were just trying to survive. Because not only were they trying to provide enough food, your neighbors might come in and try to steal your grain for the winter and kill you in the process.
That's why I need the warriors. There's I think when we say about how society is nice, I think people are nice. And the only reason corporations like hire handicapped, they made a joke about it in WWE, is really a lot for the tax write-offs. Oh, you hired a disabled person or an unabled person, so you get like a tax write-off. Like again, they did a joke on that in WWE when Kurt Angle like broke his leg and Vince McMahon hired him as like to be general manager, but then it came out like he didn't break his leg because he robbed Eddie Guerrero of the title in the cage match, and then Vince goes like, "Oh, now I don't get my tax benefits," and he's like really pissed off at Kurt Angle, like, "Now you're gonna face the Undertaker. He's gonna beat the crap out of you." Oh God, it was so freaking good 15 years ago. Yeah, so I think corporations, if there weren't any of those tax benefits, I don't know if they would do that. Because corporations, even though Congress and the government say they're people, I don't think they are. I don't know if I consider them.
Well, corporations behave according to what the incentives outlined are and the public sentiment, right? So they're trying to keep a good public face while maximizing profits at any cost. Why? Because the way they're set up, so corporations are a good and bad thing in my mind. It's a good thing because the corporation allows people to invest and get some of the growth of that in their retirement portfolio without having to create the company themselves. So in that part, they're a good thing. But I think corporations never run quite as efficiently as a private company because the CEO is thinking it's kind of like leasing a car. So if you're leasing a car versus owning the car, you just don't take as good a care of it when you're leasing it versus owning it. And so CEOs don't do as good of a job as the owner of a company who cares very much about the longevity. So if you're leasing a car and they didn't track how often you change the oil, a lot of times they won't change the oil very much because, hey, I don't care what happens after I give it back. And so CEOs of corporation will do this. They'll hide a bunch of crap and they'll like, if that comes out later, someone else will have to deal with it. Cool. Nobody can see that I'm doing that now. And so there's just some misaligned incentives that happen there when you go the corporation route over a privately held company. And so like if I had a chance to invest in a mostly privately owned company versus a corporation with like an appointed CEO who might only be there for 3 years or 5 years, I would usually lean towards a privately held company because they're usually going to take care of it better because it's their baby. It's their name on the line. It's their reputation, where the CEO is not quite the same incentives because incentives do dictate behavior. So like what's cool about Veve is Pokemon is like David Yu's baby. Like he cares very much about this brand and about what he's doing, right? He's not just some appointed CEO that's like, yeah, I'm excited to hold this position. And but really, I'm trying to get a job at Sony in 3 years. So I'm trying to make it look as good as possible so then I can move over to some other company. Now, this is David Yu's baby. He's been a collector his whole life. And now he's riding the wave of this shift into digital collectibles. And he created a company that I think is going to be number one in the coming digital collectibles boom. And it's his baby, right? Him and a business partner and some employees and some investors, but he's got a huge stake in it himself.
If there was a time, what up, Wheels? I love him. If there was a time where, let's say, even after next bull market, so let's say like 2029, and David and Dan are like, they're thinking about a replacement. Would you rather them hire someone from within that knows the company intimately, or would you rather them hire like, hey, we need somebody that knows how to run a $100 billion company, and none of these other people really need that. We need a former CEO of like, I guess, Google, Amazon. Thing is, like all these guys, they might know companies. None of them really know collectibles. Maybe like a CEO of like an auction company, people that know them.
So I couldn't see David Yu like not leading this company for at least 20 years, right? Because this is his passion. I don't even think this is work for him. That's why he can work such crazy hours, because he doesn't see it as work. It's him putting together the vision that he's had for probably a long time. And so it's not work for him. So like maybe at some point, but I don't see it. A lot of times it is work for people and they're creating something that's cool, but this is a passion for him. So I would be shocked if he wasn't leading this company for like the next 20 years. But at some point that'll have to happen, right? And then who runs it is the big problem. Promote from within. They know the culture, but do they have the skills to lead it? Depends on who's working there at the time versus bringing someone else in that might not know the culture quite as good. Hey, here's the missus. I'm like, come say hi. Earlier when I was talking, she brought me a grilled cheese, and I have such ADHD. I'm like, baby, you got to come in and say hi because I did. Thank you. Yeah.
How's your ankle? You were not having a good day the other day after running like 16 miles.
But it's okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It was swollen a little bit, but it's getting better now.
It was very swollen.
Yeah. There's like a heel that I was running that goes like down and then right back up. And it was dark because it was my nighttime run, and it was like 2 miles into my 8 miles. So I ran like 6 miles on a rolled ankle. And then the next day I ran again 4.5 miles. So it was a good time.
Ooh.
There's a certain level of crazy. Like people sign up and pay admission fees to do these races. I think she ran total 16 miles. Holy cow. And she paid money to be able to do that. Isn't that the craziest thing?
That's a lot, especially
I already signed up for next year.
I know. It's so crazy.
Apparently I didn't learn.
Like when I was in the military, they're like, we're going to do a run of 6 miles and da-da-da. And I was like, oh, heavens. No. And it is always more fun to run when it's your idea rather than someone else's idea for you. But running was never fun for me. She gets a high doing it. So
the runner's high.
She's half like Native American. So what is it? Cherokee and Chippewa?
Choctaw.
Cherokee and Choctaw, half Cherokee and Choctaw, just like the song. And so maybe that's the running side on her. Like, because they did a lot of walking and running.
My son likes.
You ever run barefoot?
I did run 1 mile, 2 mile. It was a half marathon, and I lost a toenail, so I finished it barefoot.
Oh, damn!
I was like, my shoes in my hand. It was great.
He says, "Hi, Miss Rain."
Hello.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day I'll get back into shape. And I mean, I do okay now, and the muscles are fine. But yeah, the endurance is not what it once was. So
I got my 11-year-old's going to run a race with me, just a 7K. So it's like 4.35 miles. But
yeah,
he likes running too. So he's going to run a race with me next month.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And yeah, we paid for it.
That's so crazy to me.
That's always fun. I'll get back into shape at some point. I've been saying this for like a little while, and then it just never happened. But so it's been about 2 hours. Let's should we wrap it up? Should we go with some OMI predictions towards the end?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that today, right? Like, where is OMI going to be at the end of the year? And this is the hardest thing to tell, like timelines. Like when if you had asked me if Cardano was going to do good last bull run, I said, yeah, the chances are, or last bear market, the chances are really, really good. I just can't tell you when.
You good?
She's dropping stuff over there. She's trying to see if she can distract me during my monologues as much as possible. So what can prices really go to in that timeline? The timeline's the hardest thing. So will it hit 1 cent? I really don't know when the bull run, when the digital collectibles market will hit. So, I think it'll be 1 cent or higher. But if the digital collectibles narrative hits, then it'll go a lot higher than 1 cent. So what it'll look like, that's just because I'm picking a number in a timeline. Cool. Where does it really go during the bull run? I don't see why it doesn't exceed 5 cents. I'd love to see it at 30 cents, which would put it at a market cap that is unfathomable to most people right now. They say it's impossible for that to happen. I really don't think they understand how this can come together. And I think it might come together that way, but I've given it about a 30% chance it hits 30 cents, which would put it at $100 billion market cap.
That is wild. So you're saying like, okay, well, if things go like crazy bananas, And I guess the 30% chance that it just goes to 25 cents, like whatever it goes to, it'll go to, but it's not like, okay, it's only got a 18% chance or a 50% chance of going to 20 cents and then 40% at 25. It's not like that. It's not linear. It's just whatever that banana zone hits. And you're thinking that banana zone, whatever it may be, that has a 30% chance of hitting. So that's obviously the golden goose scenario. For me, my base case would be like 8 to 10 cents. And your golden goose scenario is my golden goose scenario. But I think there's something in between where it doesn't have to hit that. It'll obviously overcorrect and it'll go wild, but I think like 15 to 20 cents, I would put it like a 45-50% chance. I would put my golden goose banana zone at like I would put it a bit lower at like a 5% chance, because I'm also trying to be conservative, because that would be amazing if it happened for me. But yeah, what are your thoughts about like not just a base case of like the 5 to 8 cents, but somewhere like that's a bull case, that's not your crazy banana zone case?
Well, the crazy bananas case is like a $5 OMI, and people are like, that's impossible. No, it's got about as much chance as what's his name, Dumb and Dumber had of landing that girl. But so you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance. It's just not a good chance. Could have hit $5. It's possible. It's not plausible, but it is possible. Like above 30 cents, it just gets crazy. And not that it can't happen. Ripple hit a market cap of 280 billion in 2017. People were like, oh yeah, but Ripple's a totally different thing. And duh, who doesn't know that? But this was 2017. It passed up Ethereum in its market cap, even though the utility wasn't even there yet. It was mostly based on hype. And so where can something go that has the #1 digital collectibles app that people are going crazy for the collectibles, and they're like, oh, and they're just FOMOing into the token, and then they're just chasing green candles, which then get bigger. So even more people FOMO into the green candles. It can get to some ridiculous numbers. And that's how it gets to 30 cents. Does it go beyond that? Who knows? We don't know if it'll get to 30 cents, but that's how that can happen. $5, that would be utter craziness. I will have sold almost all my OMI, except for the stuff that I have to leave in the app to get the minimum or to get those points, but I'll have taken and sold everything by then. So I'll probably only have like almost no OMI left if it gets anywhere near $5, because I'll have taken profits on it all.
I would say half of my OMI would be gone by 10 cents. And then let's say I have 50% left, another 10% every like 2 cents. Minus the 10 million I would have in the app. But yeah, that'd be about right. But if we're at 30 cents, that OMI is coming off the app. and it's gone. There's 10 million OMI, that's so much. What is that? 30 million? No. 10 cents at $1 would be 10 million. That'd be $3 million. You're also on mute.
Yeah, I know. Miss Rain is making all kinds of noise back there. So I was talking to her. She's getting ready. We're going to go out dancing. She's already had a makeover. You want to come show me your makeover?
I don't look very cute.
She did that in 2 seconds?
Very cute yet.
She was gone for like 2 minutes.
That's cute.
Aw.
I'll get out. I'm sorry. My girlfriend. Oh, okay. It's this little guy back there. That's my girlfriend. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Her name's Ohio Buckeye.
We know, Randy, you haven't settled on a girlfriend yet. There are about probably 200 girls that would marry you tomorrow if they could. Who can blame them?
Maybe like that probably would, if I were to ask them. Maybe probably a couple. 200's a lot, but maybe like 3.
Wait till the bull market. It'll be like a couple of thousand.
It'll be everywhere.
My wife was laughing in the background because she knows it's true. She had the pleasure of meeting Randy a couple different times when you came out, and we all went to the nightclub with some of the OMI whales. That was a blast.
Oh, it's fun.
Had some pictures of that. And then we went to Arizona, had some more fun. more adventures.
We'll get
is more of you guys are, doing really well because you had massive gains and you're like out of the rat race. You'll have to come join us on some adventures.
It'll be fun. We'll do a Randy Rain NFT collab, and whoever gets it will be able to come party with us, come dinner with us. The Randy Rain collab. I like that. Well,
that would be fun. Like a Randy Rain statue. There we go. Yeah. One of one. And if you get that, you get to come, party with us. Totally. We'll pay for your flight out. And
we'll be back to back. Like
like Charlie's Angels or something. Like a combination of Charlie's Angels and 007.
Reminds me, I gotta get Randy's Angels.
I did get a 007 suit made. This is my Bitcoin suit. Got the inside of it here.
Seen that before. Love it. All right. Well, guys, this has been great. Everyone, thank you all for being with us. Yes, Lilith will be on the podcast, SoCal. You've been asking for her for a while. I will deliver. Rain, I'll show you that video as soon as we end this here.
All right. We'll see y'all. Thanks for joining us and tuning in. Hope you've had a good time. I know we have.
Peace, guys. Bye. Yeah. Bitcoin suit. Yeah, Bitcoin suits are dope.